Hey guys, Dr. Morse, Injury Experts. So it is Tuesday, heading into week 14, big waiver wire tonight. I'm going to break down some of the injuries from this past weekend and how we're going to head into week 14, for which many people is the actual last game of the regular season before playoffs begin. Certain leagues maybe have already started. So I'm going to try to keep this around 10 minutes. If you want, looking for timestamps, head over to the YouTube channel. Trevor Lawrence suffered that concussion with that fencing response. El-Shazir ended up getting suspended today for 3 games. I don't know if they're going to put him on IR, or I don't know if they're going to just let him try to clear the protocol. We won't know a whole lot probably until Thursday. If he does, if Lawrence is able to get in a limited practice on Thursday, maybe he clears it. But realistically, I don't know. Baker Mayfield got cleated, not particularly concerning. He'll be fine for week 4. Haven't seen any updates on Caleb Williams with that knee injury. I expect it to be relatively benign, but technically he should be good to go. Brock Purdy lost even more weapons this past weekend. Didn't do anything, not completely surprising in that crazy weather. Didn't even throw for 100 yards. I still have significant concerns about his labral in his throwing shoulder, although they haven't confirmed it. Heading over to running backs. Unfortunately, Christian McCaffrey is done for the season with a PCL sprain. These usually do not require surgery, but they take 6 to 8 weeks. This is what Puka Nacua had. This is what Lamar Jackson had several years ago. He, in my opinion, has peaked, and I don't know if we'll ever be able to play a full 17-game season again. I wouldn't put it past him from being elite, but I don't think he can handle the volume anymore. Just unfortunate. Kind of a lost season, which is the 3rd time he's had one since 2020. Jordan Mason suffered a high ankle sprain. We don't know which side, but it's likely to end his season. It's either a grade 2 or a grade 3, which will require surgery. So he's going to be out. Isaac Guerrero is going to take over the backfield. He's got a little bit of sloppy footwork, but realistically, I think he has the burst and explosiveness, and Shanahan's going to use him appropriately. They just signed Israel Abanikanda off of the Jets practice squad. He's been on a couple different teams. He tore his Achilles in college. I think he was at Minnesota. But he's actually looked pretty good, so maybe he will become relevant. In deeper leagues, probably not the worst guy to pick up. Josh Jacobs popped up yesterday with a calf injury, but it's likely mild. They're playing on Thursday night, so I'm not overly concerned. I think he'll be good to go. Just something to monitor. Bucky Irving looked absolutely incredible last week. The breakout was real. I think they need to pull him off special teams because that's just stupid at this point. But he had a minor hip injury, probably a hip pointer. He said he was feeling better yesterday. I have no concerns with him going into week 14. Roschon Johnson is in the concussion protocol. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I have concerns about Breece Hall. We saw new comments on Sunday morning that basically said they were even surprised he was able to play or get prepared to play. Didn't do a whole lot. Probably didn't get a whole lot healthier since then. Hopefully he didn't have any setbacks. So, I just have trust issues with him, especially in an important week. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to play again. I just don't know how much I can trust him. Brian Robinson Jr. looked incredible and he had a monster game, no issues with his ankle. Montgomery and his shoulder, not a problem. Pacheco will get off some of the rust and probably get more volume this week. Jonathan Brooks, more of the same. He looked really good last week, and he's going to continue to get more volume. Actually flipped fantasy points with Chuba Hubbard already. As far as the Vegas running backs, Zamir White potentially could return this week. Alexander Madison, I expect to play this week. Abdullah looked really good last week, given the situation. J.K. Dobbins is run for at least a month with his left MCL sprain. Thankfully, he got lucky and did not injure his ACL again. But nonetheless, this is going to hold him out for a month. Gus Edwards looked okay. Vidal didn't do a whole lot. So just kind of an unfortunate performance from them last week. Marshawn Lloyd, the talented rookie that hasn't been able to stay healthy, is on the NFI list with appendicitis after going on the IR with a ankle and then a hamstring injury. So I don't know when he's eligible to return. And Ekeler is on IR secondary to a concussion, his 2nd of the year. So CeeDee Lamb suffered a re-injury to that catching shoulder, right shoulder, but realistically, he'll probably play, but I just don't, it's hard to to bet on him right now. He's a high risk for re-injury, so be careful. Ladd McConkey sounds like he suffered a mild to moderate knee sprain. We don't have any specifics on it yet. Obviously, they haven't practiced yet. This kid has a crazy injury history, but he likes to play through pain. He's been really, really good, so we'll keep an eye on this one later in the week. Keenan Allen, minor ankle injury. I think he'll be fine. DK Metcalf re-injured his knee that he tweaked his MCL about a month ago. He tweaked it again, but he'll be fine going forward. DJ Turner for the Las Vegas Raiders, unfortunately, suffered a season-ending injury, likely an ACL, but they haven't confirmed it. This doesn't really impact the offense a whole lot. They still have a couple other guys, but Myers and the Bowers are really the primary. Rashod Bateman suffered a knee injury. It sounds like it was relatively mild, but we'll keep an eye on that because they pulled him out pretty quickly. Josh Downs is probably close to returning, but maybe needs another week. Tyreek is just, he looked better, much better last week. We'll have to see how that plays out. He'll play through that one. It's just hard to trust him right now, in my opinion. DeVonta Smith could potentially return this week with his hamstring strain. We just have to be careful with him because he's at still a pretty high risk for re-injury, which is why they were cautious with him. Keon Coleman, not ready to return from his wrist injury, potentially either a fracture or a sprain. There's some rumblings. He went to Germany to get treatment, similar to McCaffrey, but hard to know until he gets on the practice field. So give him another. I probably wouldn't trust him this week if he's active. Jalen Coker, we'll have to keep an eye out on his quad because he's probably got a quad strain. Most of the other wide receivers are in pretty good shape. We'll keep an eye on Cedric Tillman if he can clear the protocol, and as well as Romeo Doubs, who plays on Thursday, if he can clear the protocol. He has to clear it by tomorrow. So we'll have to keep an eye on that very closely. As far as that, most of the other guys are fine, wide receiver-wise. I don't know what's going on with Chris Olave, so we'll have to see. Unfortunately, Taysom Hill did suffer a season-ending ACL injury and probably a fracture, if I wouldn't be surprised based on how it played out. He's 35. I think he'll be 36 soon, so this, unfortunately, may be career-ending. Dallas Goedert reportedly dealing with a moderate knee sprain. We don't have specifics. This could be a meniscus. This could be an MCL. Wouldn't be surprised if they held him out for a couple weeks. So keep an eye on this. Hopefully they can get DeVonta Smith back and get the ball rolling. Dalton Schultz suffered a minor AC sprain probably in his shoulder, but he was able to play afterwards and ended up catching a touchdown. Dalton Kincaid, similarly dealing with the same injury as McCaffrey, that PCL sprain. Realistically, he needs to practice in the next couple days to play in Week 14. As you can see with Puka, these take a long time to stabilize. They're not very quick injuries. Jatavian Sanders, we have to see what's going on with his neck, if he's eligible to return this year, if it's just on the more milder side than we were initially concerned about. But Tommy Tremble went bananas this past weekend as a result of Sanders being out, so maybe a deep dart if Sanders is still out again. Disley didn't do anything this past week despite being active and running a ton of routes, which is just unfortunate. And you know, that's kind of what I have. I'm expecting about another 5 to 15 injuries coming out tomorrow. Hopefully none of them are significant. I'll give you more information tomorrow or maybe Thursday morning, depending on how the injury report plays out, and then we will see you later on in the weekend to try to give you a wrap-up. Take care. Good luck with waiver wires, and hopefully you made the playoffs. Thank you for your support. Take care.